sorry to disappoint, but I won't be having a story that I had just, no food at home or only 10 rupees left. I don't have that kind of story, yeah? It was a very, very typical Indian middle class, yeah? Very typical Indian middle class. My father was a banker. He was with the central bank of the country. My mother was a homemaker. And for us, childhood was about, looking back, it was a very happy childhood. It was about playing, yeah. And as most young Indians had an aspiration to become a cricketer. And our house was full of books. We didn't go on foreign jaunts, yeah, but we had a very happy, summer used to be traveling across the plains of India, going to our grandparents' place, yeah. And the childhood was about a lot of sports and a lot of reading. And that's what it was. Looking back, it was a very happy childhood. Pretty carefree, yeah. It's not in any way spoiled by luxury, but happy memories. That's what a childhood was all about.
Did that actually help to shape the way you grew, and you seem a very happy, relaxed person today? Were the foundations there?
Yeah, I think our values we imbibed from our parents. Our dad had a lot of influence on me, yeah, about integrity, hard work, all those things one imbibed from him. We also had very interesting, we never got pocket money. We had a practice at our home that we knew exactly what our dad earned, and we knew where the money was kept, and our parents had said, you know what your father earns, so you spend the way you deem fit and appropriate. So at a very young age, we had a sense of responsibility. Yeah, that how much we need to spend, where we need to spend. When it came to books, there were no questions asked. Yeah, but rest of the stuff, I think at a very young age, we became very conscious about how we spend money. So that is something which was very telling. And other was our dinner time. Dinner was a wonderful moment. When our dad would come back from work, all of us would have dinner together, and he would regale us with what happened during the day. And I think that was instrumental in many ways in my interest in finance. Because he was a banker, central banker, and he would come and talk about the economy, and he would come and talk about money in banking, and that's how my interest in finance came in. So I would say these two things would have in many ways shaped me.
And what role did your mother play in this process? Was she more nurturing,
absolutely,
protecting you from your dad?
Not really. Like we had a relationship. It wasn't a household of a lot of discipline. Yeah, it was a household where we were made to understand our responsibilities. Yeah, so we knew that when exams are coming, cricket will have to take a back seat and we'll have to start working. And I don't think our parents really were very concerned whether we are working hard or not, because we were doing a reasonably alright job when it came to school.
It's interesting, I've interviewed 5 or 6 business icons like yourself already, and somebody wanted to be a fighter pilot, somebody wanted to be a cricketer. From there to accountancy, it just seems like a huge shift. And how did that, I mean, you said you had a passion for accounting.
Well, cricket was, one loved playing cricket, yeah? And I remember changing schools so that I could join the school which used to be the champion in Harris Shield. That is the school championship in Mumbai. And in those of you who may be from India, Mumbai, we have 2 school championships, the Guile Shield and the Harris Shield. And for my school, which had very illustrious players who were bred in the school, like Vijay Merchant and all, and I played for the Guide Shield, but I never got a chance to play for the Harry Shield because the school had a huge amount of talent. And I soon realized that, hey mate, you should play cricket for fun. I don't think you'll ever make a great career in cricket. Yeah. So that's when cricket went off. And then it was all about bringing a clarity to what you want to do. And I remember we had a psychological test done in school, which was based on what you want to pursue and whether you're suited to that or not, psychologically. And I had articulated that yeah, I want to do chartered accountancy. And the test was done, and the results were fantastic. They came, man, that's suited for you. I think that reinforced that, yeah, that's what I need to pursue. And so I was very clear when I finished my school that what I'm going to pursue is chartered accountancy. As clear as that.
So when you finished your accountancy exam, you obviously came right to the top of the class. What was the first job, and how did you make that decision? You know, just that early phase, and then we fast forward.
Yeah, very interesting. You know, in India, your chartered accountancy is an exam which is conducted on a national basis. So you have, across the country, people take the exams, and then you have a list of merit. And if you're fortunate, as I was, to be amongst the top rankers, then you have a lot of institutions reach out to you and asking you that basically, here is the application, fill it up, and we would be very interested in knowing more about it. Now, I remember vividly is my grandmother used to stay in Delhi, and there was a company called DC&Bin, which was very good in developing. In fact, it was a pioneer in management training scheme in India. And I thought I must go for that interview so that I'll get a free airfare and go and see my grandmother. So that one was DCN, but then I had zeroed in on two corporations. One was Hindustan Lever, and the second one was Union Carbide. And in reality, I had applied to just two companies. And I went through the interview process, and those were the days when Hindustan Lever had not consolidated in India. There were different entities. There was the Lipton India, there was the Brookbond India, there was the Pond's India, and there was Hindustan Lever. And they offered me a job with Lipton in Calcutta. And here was I, a Mumbai lad, and Union Carbide, which was that time as big a company as Hindustan Lever in India, offered me a job in Mumbai. So it was really no choice at all. So I opted for Union Carbide. That's how my journey started.
And you started in the finance area?
I started in finance, yeah. I got to tell you the story because this gentleman had, I would say, had an impact on my career. I joined corporate finance. Why corporate finance? Because those days corporate finance was like what investment banking is today. Yeah, the sexy part of finance. And I was there for 6 months in corporate finance at the corporate headquarters of Union Carbide, when one day my chairman called me up, a gentleman called Vijay Gokhale, whom I hold in very high esteem. And he called me and said, we had a chat. That was my first big interaction with him. And he said, you should go and learn business. And I asked him, how would you suggest I learn business? He said, you should join audit. And I said, I finished my audit when I was doing my articles. I have no more interest in audit. He said, no, that's the only way you will learn business. Because Union Carbide had different divisions. It had consumer products, industrial products, chemicals, plastics, agriculture, marine products. He says you won't be able to learn business sitting in a corporate office. You have to go there, learn the operations, learn the business. And I said, what if I don't like audit? He said, okay, that's the promise. If you don't like audit, in 6 months' time, Drop me a note, I'll take you back. I said, that was a fair deal. So I went to audit. And that's where my love for business commenced. I think within a year's time, I was absolutely clear that I want to run a business as opposed to running a function.
Interesting. Now, one of the interesting stories as far as Union Carbide is concerned is when we had the disaster in Bhopal.
Yeah.
You were working in a team there. Could you tell us a wee bit more about it?
Bhopal was a huge tragedy. I still vividly remember that when the first information came in of the gas leak in a Bhopal facility, and we all were thinking about that, yeah, maybe some people in the workers in the factory have got affected, what would be the damage to the factory, the insurance claim, and so on and so forth. And it's only later in the day, that was the day before 24/7 television news, yeah. This was December of 2004. And then the news started coming in, and later on we came to know what a ghastly tragedy it has been. And within about 2-3 weeks, I remember I was pulled out, and I was asked to join the crisis team in Bhopal. Now this by then had become the focus of global attention. It was such a huge magnitude. And I remember landing in Bhopal. Because the situation was so volatile, for 6 months we used to move under police protection. Yeah, because there was a risk that Union Carbide managers might get lynched. Now I was in the crisis team for about a year and a half. And during this period, we handled the investigation, the litigation is both in India and in the US, is separation of our employees, rehabilitation of victims. While it was a huge tragedy, for me personally, it was an amazing learning curve. It was a very small crisis team, and I was the junior most member of the team, virtually a flunky, yeah. But I got amazing insights into corporate structure, how multinationals operate, is law of torts, jurisprudence, investigation, labor laws, rehabilitation. It was absolutely an experience of a lifetime. And from that aspect, when it comes to learning, I owe a lot to what I learned during Bhopal crisis. And also this was again an event which in many ways shaped me. Yeah, I was a very active Boy Scout. And Boy Scout, you have a very simple motto. If any of you have been a scout in your early life, it's about be prepared. Yeah. And what the connotation of be prepared means in a corporate life, it certainly got reinforced when I was in Bhopal.
Now moving forward quickly from there, are you happy sitting, or would you like to walk around and engage with people?
Yes, perfect. I think when we get into question answers,
okay,
it would be nice to stretch.
Okay, I will do it then. Unilever. I was doing some research, and I dare say a lot of you will probably find that some of the things I discovered quite interesting. The consumer industry, consumer products industry, is the largest industry in the world. I didn't know that until today. Number two, all the consumer industry companies put together, which is P&G, Unilever, Mars, and a few others, they're as big as the fourth largest, the GDP is as big as the fourth largest economy in the world. So only China, US, and I think Japan, or was it Germany? It's probably Japan. They are the only three countries that are larger than the consumer products industry. So it is something, an industry which completely embraces every single part of our life, from the morning, to the time we wake up, to the time we go to sleep. There are many, many, many touch points. So they are an integral part of our lives. Now, how many people here have used a Unilever product? Everyone? When you use a Unilever product, do you
If anyone hasn't, I'll send you a sample. Send me your card. Do you know all our brands?
Well, and I really to this day haven't quite understood the whole philosophy of having brands individually and having 400 brands out there. And how we can do that. So my question to Sanjiv is, what inspired you to join a company like Unilever, number one? And number two, from your perspective, what is Unilever? Because to me, it's just a bunch of brands and it just gets very confusing.
Yeah, is first how I joined Unilever. Remember I told you before I joined Union Carbide, there were two companies I was looking at, Hindustan Lever, Union Carbide. It came back when is a few years after the Bhopal tragedy, is Union Carbide had decided to leave India. And that is when the head of HR of Hindustan Lever, he reached out to me. And we had a couple of sessions. And by that time I moved to sales and marketing. And he was offering me jobs in finance and I wasn't interested anymore with that. So it went on, we had a couple of meetings, and then I remember an opening came up in Dubai. And those days, Dubai to me was not a place you go for career. Yeah. So I wasn't really interested in going to Dubai. And then I remember one day he's saying, why don't you go and check out? We have Unilever Arabia has just come on shore. And go and see that place. Now, Unilever used to sell products here for several decades before 92, but 92 was the time when the management came on shore. So, and here those days, the weekend used to be Thursday and Friday, yeah, not Friday and Saturday right now. And India, we had Saturday and Sunday. So I remember on a Saturday morning landing in Dubai. And I still tell my people, the way the company treated me then, yeah, made me join Unilever. The way, there was a guy who came to receive me, then I had lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch with different directors. I went to the office, and this was an office which was really throbbing with excitement. You know, when you go into an office, you get the feel, the pulse, what the culture is, what the place is all about. We had managers from 25 nationalities, because Unilever had pulled in managers from all over the globe to set up the Arabia office. And it was a very exciting place. And I thought, wow, this looks good. My wife was a corporate banker with HSBC. So we went back, we talked about it, and we took the decision to come here. But then we said, Matt, let's take a calculated risk. I will go first. You don't check your job. Let us see how it is. And if things go out work, then you quit and come. And that's what we did. But within 1 month, I said, wow, it looks good. Good place, good office, and that's how we came here to Dubai.
An interesting story that you shared with us when I met you was the ethos, the essence of what Unilever is, and how it originally started in Victorian times. Can you?
Yeah, Unilever is a company which is, the roots go back to maybe 130 years in Victorian England. And today's Unilever is the sum of two companies. Yeah? There was a merger in 1930 between Lever Brothers and Uni Margarine. Lever Brothers was the Britown and Uni Margarine was a Dutch. And they had one thing in common. They were both using oils. Lever Brothers, oils for soaps, and Uni Margarine, oils for margarine. So this was just after around the time of the Great Depression. And they thought we will bring in synergy by merging so that we could source our raw material much more efficiently. But the origins were pretty back. Wendt was much older than 1930s. It was from the Victorian time. And when Sir William Haskett Lever, he decided to set up Lever Brothers, this was in Port Sunlight in England, it was not about with an intention to make huge amount of money. His whole intention was, those were the times when 1 out of every 2 child would not survive a year. Yeah? And this was the time when he decided, I will first lessen the chore of women, and second, make hygiene commonplace so the quality of life could improve. Now, Sunlight was the first branded soap in the world, virtually the first brand. Yeah? That's how the origin of Unilever is. So the ethos, if you talk to our people, yeah, is we never talk about a purpose which commences with how much money we will make for our shareholders. Yeah? For us, our consumers are first, and the purpose is all about how do we create a better future by making people feel good, look good, and get more out of life. And the philosophy is, you look after your consumers, you look after your customers, your employees, and your communities. Once you do that well, the shareholder return will come by itself. That's the ethos of Unilever. So we always say we are a purpose-driven and a value-led company.
And those values exist to this day, because I remember reading a book by Horace and Collins in the 1990s, Built to Last.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they were talking about, the difference between good companies and great companies, and the difference with values. What are those values today that you see in Unilever, and how can you share and inspire the people here?
Yes, certainly. You know, Unilever is a business where we have operations in nearly 190 countries, and 2 billion consumers use our products every day. That's our reach. And what holds us together across the length and breadth of the world are our values. And when we talk about values, these are very simple values. We talk about integrity. It's very clearly. It's the kind of life we want to lead within the business. We talk about respect. Respect for everyone who interacts with us. We talk about responsibility. It's very clearly owning up the responsibility. Responsibility to our consumers. And we talk about pioneering spirit. You know, Unilever was built, many categories, many segments of the market have been created by Unilever. And this has been done by the previous generations and continues to date by bringing in innovation, creativity, and that's where the pioneering spirit is. So these are the values which bind us together and what makes Unilever, Unilever today.
Let's get into the guts of the business that you're running here. How many people work for you?
See, we have about 4,500 people who work directly for us. But if you go by, there are many people, like we have hundreds of distributors. If I were to give you an idea, there are about 1 million retail outlets in this region, our region, Middle East, North Africa. And we reach 400,000 outlets directly. So we have thousands of salesmen who go and sell our products, working for our distributors. Similarly, we have suppliers dedicated to us. So our estimate is that for every 1 employee directly employed by us, there are about 10 people whose earnings come exclusively from Unilever, who are part of our value chain. So if you were to look at it from that lens, then we are talking about nearly 50,000 people. And then if you were to look at it from a household lens, about 250,000 human beings whose lives are impacted, is directly by how Unilever performs in the region. This I'm not talking about consumers. Of course, we have millions of consumers who use our products. But this I'm talking about livelihoods. It comes from Unilever.
You're a $2 billion company. From what I understand, the 80-20 rule works, the Pareto's law works here too. Which are your top performing brands which take the largest portion of that pie.
We are fortunate. In 75% of our turnover, we are the market leaders. So we have very strong position. Say, let me start by getting up in the morning. We are the leaders in oral care. So you would brush your teeth with Signal or Clona. Yeah. Then we are the market leaders in beverage. You would want an energizing cup of tea to start your day. So you have a choice. You have Lipton or you have a Brip Bond. Then you would want to take a shower. Yeah. We again give you a choice as market leaders. You have Lux, you have Dove, you have Lifebuoy. Yeah. Then you want to wear a nice crisp shirt. It would have been cleaned by Omo. And you want a nice fragrance on your clothes. So you would have Comfort as a fabric conditioner. Yeah. And while taking a shower, you want to have obviously wonderful hair. So you have Dove.
Doesn't apply for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. Because you didn't use our brand.
Actually, because I use your brand too much, that's why I lost.
We have a variant which is just made for preventing hair fall. Yeah. And then you have Sunsilk, you have Clear. Yeah. So when you come out, you want to have a nice smooth skin. So you have hand and body lotions. You have Vaseline. Yeah. And if you want to look even more beautiful, there's a wonderful brand called Pond's. Yeah. So throughout the day, we would be engaging with you. Yeah. So there are several categories in which we are the leaders, and we live by a purpose. We try to enrich your life.
So on the one side, it's extremely impressive that you permeate all aspects of lives. On the other side, I think to myself, how intrusive. You obviously bombard us with these messages. Your advertising is brilliant, your marketing is outstanding, and we can't afford to walk out without using Sunsilk in the morning or wearing a shirt that's smelling of Comfort. So are you just creating this unnecessary, irrelevant need that we don't have?
Yeah, that would be really arrogance if I say yes. Yeah, you know,